So shooters and reloaders out there, Fortune Cookie 45 LLC coming to you from the hot lead zone. Now, when we buy Hornady components like these bullets here or Hornady ammo, we're used to getting something like this. Nice quality products. And you know, when we order Hornady brass from outlets like Midway USA or Natchez or Mid-South Shooters or Precision Reloading or any company at all online, we expect to get this. Because that's how Hornady brass comes. But sometimes we get a surprise. Well, instead of that real impressive Hornady packaging, we get this instead. And it's a bit of a surprise getting a white box, but it does say Hornady Reloading Brass 25-06 Remington box of 50 on top. Well, you know, sometimes the packaging is a kind of a fake out, because when we order Starline brass, it comes like this, and it's really great brass. So this could be okay for sure, right? Now, when you order 25-06 brass, it doesn't say that this is Hornady bulk brass, that it's going to come like this, because it's the same as when you order this kind of brass. And they say you're going to order this brass, and this is how it comes. And you order 25-06, and it comes like this, and there's just no way to know it's going to come like that. So the title of this video is, what happens when we get white box bulk package Hornady brass instead of their frontline brass that's sold to us? And the consequences of this, how do we deal with it? That's the purpose of this video. So first thing let's do is go ahead and weigh all these cases to see how uniform they are. So the lightest one was 176.30. The heaviest one was 179.7. Well, that's a spread of 3.4 grains over 50 cases. Now compare that with Lapua brass, which is a 1 grain spread over 100 cases. And the 3.4 is a fair amount of spread. And all these numbers are all evenly spread out between those two extremes. Plus, there's not one round mouth in the bunch. So they've all had case mouth dinging and denting. So the handling was pretty severe with all these as they got into this white box. Now, a very important point that we have to consider when it comes to brass evaluation is the headspace. So here's 2 rounds of fired 25-06 from my Model 700 Remington rifle, and we put it in our precision mic and we get plus 1.5. Let's put the other one in, and we got a little over 1. Yeah, a little over 1. So there you have the headspace of the rifle. It's a little over 1. Now we'll go ahead and check the headspace of this Hornady brass, and it's -3. Check another one. -3.5. So that's up to -5 thousandths. This Hornady brass is short of SAMI specifications, which is 0 on the precision mic. So it's like as much as 0.0035 less than SAMI minimum. Since my rifle chamber is plus 1.5, that means that this brass is going to stretch 5 thousandths on firing. That's more than we want. So that's another quality issue that's going to be a problem for us. Now, depending on the rifle, you might not get as much of a stretching. If your rifle is at 0, then you're only stretching minus 0.0035, which is tolerable. 0.003 is oftentimes what we like for maximum reliability. But we wouldn't want to set it at 0.005 for sure. So that's a little bit of a problem. We might wind up with a little less case life because of this, but after I fire form this brass for first firing, then it won't be stretching like that as much anymore. But again, we've already stretched it by 0.005, which is more than we want. Well, the next criteria is the length of the brass. We want uniformity. So let's look at this, and you'll see that there's 2.4805, and here's one that's 2.482, another one that's 2.4825, and here's the longest one at 2.485. So it's from 2.481 to 2.485, or a 0.004 inch spread. That's not too good. So the problem would be that if we want these to all be trimmed to the same length, we've got to trim to 2.481 inches. Trim them all to that. But the problem with that is that the minimum, or the trim to length rather, of this brass, as in the Hornady manual, is 2.484. So the overall maximum length is 2.494. We trimmed to 2.484, but in this case, we're already starting out shorter by about 0.003 with a lot of these brass casings. And in order to get them all the same length, we got to trim them all to a length that's 0.003 less than the trim to length, so we're going to be shorter than short. And that's not exactly what we want. And also the rough handling, look at this dent right there in the case body. That's pretty bad dent. We don't see this kind of dent as a rule. So this Hornady brass is bulk brass, and we've got to do a lot of sorting and this kind of thing in order to get uniformity. And so sure, we pay a little less, but we're not getting commensurate value with that. By the time I sort these out, you got a box of 50, probably only going to have 15 that's going to be uniform. Now, of course, we can true up the case mouths from their dented condition to our nice rounded condition by running the cases through the Lee neck sizing collet die. So we run the case in, and notice again, it's kind of hard to get it in there because of the dented condition of the case mouth. So let's go ahead and run that in the neck collet die and uniform that neck up. We'll run it about 5 times. More is okay. But let's go ahead and check the concentricity of that neck on the concentricity gauge. Okay, so we'll check the concentricity there. Little over 1,000ths. See if you can see that gauge. See that? Now it'll bounce a little bit because it's not fitting the exact index here, but once we get it to where we can get a reading, you see just a little over 1,000ths. Not bad. So we can get those necks trued up pretty nicely. If I take the weight at 178.0 to 178.2, that gives me a 0.2 of a grain spread. I'll have, and I can count these up, 13 brass casings that fall in that range. So I'll have that sorted out from 178.0 to 178.2. Then I can go ahead and trim those to the 8.1 length, and then I'll have 13 cases pretty well matched out of the 50. When we buy brass, it's always a little bit of a risk that we get brass that might have some uniformity problems. The rest of this brass is still good, of course, and we can take the data we have and sort out other weight ranges for work later on in the future. I've crossed out the ones I've taken out, and we'll keep this data in here for future use. So in the event we get bulk white box Hornady brass, we know what to do. At this time, I'd like to take an opportunity to invite all of you to go over there to the reloadersnetwork.com. That's the reloadersnetwork.com. And if you go over there, a lot of the reloading channels on YouTube have gone over there, and you'll see a site where you can get a lot of videos and written articles, posts that are all about reloading, and a lot of interesting stuff over there. You might want to check it out. Now, I also like to say hi to Eric. Ran into Eric at the range the other day. He came up to me and said, "You're Fortune Cookie 45 LC, aren't you?" And of course, I was a bit surprised, but yeah, hi to Eric, and it was nice to meet you the other day. But also, if you have a chance, you might want to go over and check out my Patreon site. There's a lot of videos over there that are available for just anybody to visit the site and take those in. And you won't see those videos anywhere else, so you might want to check that out. At any rate, bye for now.